going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got a fun one for you as we're going to be diving into some winners and some losers from New York Jets OTAs. A couple of guys have been really turning heads from media there and the coaching staff, so we'll dive into it all on today's show. But before we do so, if you guys are fired up for the season, hit that thumbs up icon. I feel like a kid trying to fall asleep on Christmas Eve night every single night this offseason. My life feels meaningless without football in it, so I'm fired up for the year. And if you guys are as well, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon, and like today's show. So the biggest winner so far from Jets OTAs has to be the speedster, fourth-round pick out of Georgia, Arian Smith. Now, he's been turning heads even dating back to Jets rookie minicamp about a month ago, but this was recently at an OTAs practice. Nick Faria tweeting this out. Yeah, guys, Arian Smith is getting open on almost every route. Need to put the pads on for him, but New York looks like they got something here. And also somebody replied to him and said, is he catching every ball? Because obviously drops are a major issue for Arian. He said, yeah. So hopefully the drop issue was maybe something mental with Arian Smith, because if he can catch the football, this dude's going to be a problem in the NFL. But also about Arian possibly being a returner, Chris Banjo, Jet special teams coordinator, says Arian Smith has flashed on special teams as a returner. He's back there every day trying to improve as a potential punt returner. And also, I saw another article saying that he's been staying after practice, and he's also been showing up early to practice, just working on his punt return ability. Since Georgia never asked him to do that, I love that he's kind of taking that initiative to being like, yeah, I got the speed. I can be a dynamic threat in the special teams. And overall, Arian Smith, like, you start thinking about this Jets wide receiver room here, I kind of like the idea of having a speedster next to Garrett Wilson, and maybe it could be very similar to how the Lions use Jamison Williams. Obviously, you had Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can hop in the slot, play outside. He can play anywhere, and he's that true number one where, Garrett Wilson is on that level. And then if Arian Smith can kind of be the Jamison Williams of the offense, hopefully Mason Taylor can be the Sam Laporta. Who knows? Maybe the Jets could replicate what the Lions had cooking over the last couple of years. But massive shout out to Arian Smith. He looks great, and I think that's great news for Jets fans. But another guy that has been a winner, how about Will McDonald? Apparently, he looks like he put on some good size this offseason, which is awesome. And, the early reports are indicating hey, this guy has been dominating OTAs so far, and he also looks a lot bigger. So I think that's great news for the Jets. And if you could really have that guy take that next step, whether that's McDonald or Jermaine Johnson, next to Quinnen Williams on that D-line, hopefully you can create one of the better front sevens in the National Football League. It's really just going to come down to, like I said, Will McDonald or Jermaine Johnson taking that step from being a good edge rusher in the league to being a consistently great edge rusher. But he clearly has the talent to do so. He has flashed in spots throughout his NFL career so far. So hopefully McDonald can kind of keep this, snowball rolling heading to training camp, then to the preseason. Then we'll see him making plays during the regular season for the New York Jets. But we also got to give some love to the quarterback here. How about a little Justin Fields? A lot of guys at practice have been saying that Fields looks a lot faster than he has in past years. And also he has been seen using that GoPro on the top of his helmet, which could mean that the Jets are going to incorporate some VR training to his game, which we have seen Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, these other quarterbacks in the league really take their game to the next level using that VR headset. And especially a guy like Fields, who you would say his, negatives of his game at the quarterback spot is the processing and winning from the pocket. Well, if you have the VR training, that's an easy way to, just practice that part of the game of football. But Brian Baldinger was actually at a practice for the New York Jets recently, and he showed a lot of love to Fields with this quote, saying he looked exceptionally fast. He was on the move quite a bit and threw well on the move. You saw him basically piercing the Jets defense routinely. I thought he threw the ball well on the run. He took all the number one repetitions with the starting offense. They used him in a variety of ways, but running the ball, he stood out. Now, that should be no shocker that Justin Fields is standing out in terms of the rushing part of his game, as he's always been one of the best athletes at the quarterback position from day one in the NFL. But could we see a career rushing year from number 7? I think it was 1,100 yards back in 2021 he had with the Bears. So that'd be a lofty goal. Like, if Fields ran for 1,200 yards, you're assuming the Jets are a very, very dynamic rushing offense this year. Pair that up with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. That could be good stuff there. But, man, if Justin Fields could have a dynamic year on the ground, like, this Jets team will really feel like an old school Jets team where it's like, yeah, we're pounding the football. We're a physical defense led by Aaron Glenn. So hopefully that comes to fruition during the regular season, but got to give some love to Justin Fields here. And finally, my last winner, I got to go with the head coach. I got to go with Aaron Glenn because he has me fully bought into this Jets team. And, you can talk about the offseason, how you want it to look. Glenn, he had a lot of viral quotes of just saying what his vision for this Jets team would look like. But everything Glenn talked about during the offseason is coming to fruition during, starting at rookie minicamp, and then we're seeing it during OTAs. And I'm sure once training camp rolls around, we'll see it there. The Jets almost had 100% attendance during every OTA's practice. Quinnen Williams missed a day here and there, but I'm not too worried about that. I mean, these are voluntary at the end of the day, and Quinnen's going to show up on game days ready to go and ready to wreak havoc. But more specifically on Glenn here, he's been talking about the type of team he wants to see, being physical, being everybody bought in, and we're really seeing that. Just even during OTAs, I can't imagine what it's going to look like once the regular season gets here in a couple of months. But let's show the new head coach of the New York Jets, Aaron Glenn, some love down below in the comment section as he continues to impress. Type his initials. Type those AGs down below in the comments. Got to give a lot of love to him. Really, getting the Jets back on track here. So hopefully it results in wins, but the culture feels different, and they haven't even played a game yet. So show Aaron Glenn some love down below. Type those AGs in the comment section. So some losers here from OTAs. Decided to put the punters on the losers list, and it was mainly just one tweet that we saw from Rich Cimini. Obviously, the Jets decided to let go of Thomas Morstead, and they had Kai Groger and Austin McNamara battling out for the punter spot. But Cimini said there were some funny-looking punts with McNamara and Kai Kroger, neither of them whom have NFL experience. Now, keep in mind, Kai Kroger, he was 7-10 for over 200 yards passing in his collegiate career, so maybe we could see some fake punts. We know the Lions, they've been an ultra-aggressive team, not just on fourth downs, but also in the special teams department. So maybe Aaron Glenn going to take a page out of the Dan Campbell playbook and maybe incorporate some fake punts. But if I had to call it, I would probably say Kai Kroger beats out McNamara, but this is something that will probably, our best look will be the preseason and real game action. But the punters, some funny-looking punts, so I guess that's not good. But also, I will say, I'm not worried about the special teams. I can't imagine an Aaron Glenn team having special teams issues. I'm sure he'll fix that really, really quick, but just want to get you guys the news there. And then loser number 2 for me, I'm going to go Malachi Corley, and this is 2 parts. Number 1 being, I think the emergence of Arian Smith, it may move Corley down in the depth chart because this guy was a second-round pick for a reason. I mean, he had all types of hype coming out of college. He was getting Deebo Samuel comparisons, but I just think Arian Smith taking that next step could just move him down the depth chart. And also Cimini tweeting this out today saying he's sitting out with an apparent injury. No news on what that injury is, but for a guy like Corley who is, firmly in that wide receiver 2 battle with, Smith, Tyler Johnson, Josh Reynolds, all of these guys, it's not good that he's sitting out. And plus, you would hope that Corley would start building that connection with Justin Fields here at OTA. So hopefully this will just be something that keeps him out for maybe a couple of days, and he'll be back ready to roll once another session of OTAs gets here, and then obviously training camp. So Corley, he wasn't there at the start of it, but he was present during the second half of today's practice, but he was sitting out with an apparent injury. Now, the last loser here, and this is nothing he really did on the field, I just decided to put Josh Myers on this one as, the Jets signed Josh Myers this offseason hoping he would compete with Joe Tippmann for that starting center spot, but it's looking like Myers will back up Tippmann this season, and I don't even think that's a bad thing. Like, Josh Myers is a high-end backup at the interior offensive line. He can play guard. He can play center. Obviously has that connection with Justin Fields from their college days there. But, Tippmann, I think the Jets already have their solid 5-man offensive line. At least every clip I've seen, it's been that 5-man of Fashanu, Simpson, Tippmann, Vera Tucker, and then Membu on the right side. So hopefully this Jets offensive line, I mean, they got the talent to probably be a top 10 unit in the National Football League. We'll see. Obviously health is a big concern, but also, health on the interior of the offensive line has definitely been an issue. So I think it's a good thing that you got Myers, having that flexibility to play guard and center. But, it'll probably be Tippmann starting. So that's why I put Josh Myers as a loser on today's show. But let me ask you guys this. Which player are you most excited about this season? For me, if it's not Justin Fields, which I'm assuming a lot of the answers will be that, it's got to be Arian Smith just to see if, if it's real, like, or is this just, typical OTAs hype? Like Xavier Gibson the last, couple of seasons has been that OTA stud, and then really, really haven't seen it on game day. So hopefully it translates for Arian Smith, but you guys let me know which player are you most excited about this season, and we'll see y'all next time. As always, go Jets.